Greetings, Auto Subs, VideoJames, and today, as I promised, we're going to be doing a guide on the Ultra Wormholes. Now, I promised this in one of my Legendary videos. I think I promised it in my Kyogre video, maybe. And I think in that video I did kind of a brief description of how the Ultra Wormholes work. But I promised this in one of my Legendary videos. I can't remember which one for sure, so I'll just go ahead and leave them all down in the comments. In the description. I always say comments when I say that, and I mean description. I'm stupid. But we're going to be doing a guide on the Ultra Wormholes, and I'm only really going to be doing the information that's confirmed, and everything I know for a fact actually works, and is a confirmed thing that the game actually has put in it. So, basically, the Ultra Wormholes are a post-game kind of event, where you can basically just go through this kind of ultra space, and there'll be little Ultra Wormhole portals that'll take you to an area of Ultra Space where you'll either encounter a regular Pokemon or a legendary Pokemon. Now, the chances of finding a rare Pokemon or a regular Pokemon differ, but usually with the legendaries you do have a lower chance of finding them. I don't really know the exact kind of percentage of them. I don't know the exact percentage of the chance of finding a legendary, but I don't really think it's that high. I don't think it's going to be that high. There have been people saying it's like 10%, 15%, 5%, depending on how far you go or whatever, and I don't really believe that because it hasn't been confirmed yet, but there is basically a very low chance that you'll get a legendary, but there are ways to actually increase your odds. So when you're going through Ultra Wormhole, the idea is you kind of want to get the orange orbs and avoid the blue orbs. Now, the orange orbs actually give you a +1 in speed, whereas the blue orbs actually give you a -1 in speed. So, as you're going through the Ultra Wormhole, you can kind of stockpile up the orange orbs at the beginning of the wormhole, and you'll actually be able to kind of just gather them and get your speed up, so you'll be able to go into the wormhole a lot farther. And if you do actually hit a blue orb, it'll actually lower your speed, so you kind of want to avoid them. It's basically just like kind of a Wi-Fi battle in a way, that a tit-for-tat exchange. But you can also change the method of how you want to go through the Ultra Wormhole, because when you do it the first time, it actually is default set to motion control, and the gyroscope for the 3DS is just absolutely terrible. So I would recommend that you go to the Game Freak building in Hey Hey City, and actually change the mode to Circle Pad if you actually do hate the gyroscope like me, because I honestly do hate the gyroscope. It is honestly way too buggy for the 3DS. So when you're going through the Ultra Wormhole, there's 4 types of wormhole portals. There is the level 1 type, which basically is just a regular wormhole. It's got no rings around it. There's the type 2, which has 1 ring around it. There's the type 3, which has 2 rings around it. And then there's the type 4, which still has 2 rings around it. But if you'll notice, it kind of also has that little X pattern around it, which is why I like calling them the Omnitrix wormholes, because they kind of got that little X pattern around them, so it kind of looks like they just got the little Omnitrix symbol going around them. But as you go on, these wormholes kind of change in rarity as you go through the Ultra Wormhole. So you can see at 0 light years, you're basically just going to be getting a 100% chance of the Type 1 wormhole, that you're basically not going to be getting any of the higher rarities. But then, as you go on, they kind of go up. So you see when we get to 1,000 light years, we actually get 78% on the Type 1s, 20% on the Type 2, 2% on the Type 3, and still a 0 on the Type 4. And then we see at 2,000 light years, we get 52% on the Type 1, 40% on the Type 2, 8% on the Type 3, and once again 0% on the Type 4. And then we see at 3,000 that the type still kind of changes, that we get 32% at 3,000 light years. We get 50% at 3,000 for the Type 2. We get 16% at Type 3, and it basically just kind of stays that way for the rest. And then we actually get 2% for the Type 4. So the Type 4s kind of go up slightly in rarity as you keep going. You don't really get anything until you get to about 2,500 light years, but there is still a chance that you can find one at 2,500 light years. Now we see at 4,000 light years, we actually have 30% chance of a Type 1, 50% chance of a Type 2, 16% chance of a Type 3, and a 4% chance of a Type 4. So the Type 4 is probably going to be most common at around 4,000, 4,500 light years, and basically up till then you're going to have a very low chance of actually finding one. However, your odds could actually be in your favor with random number generation. I know with me playing, I haven't actually gotten 4,000 light years into the wormholes yet, but I actually have found at least 10 or 11 of the Omnitrix wormholes. Now, there are 5 different types of wormholes. There's 5 different colors of wormholes, and each wormhole will have different Pokemon, and they'll all kind of be up to random chance on what Pokemon you get. But whatever Pokemon you get is actually going to be determined by the color of the wormhole, so depending on which wormhole you get, you could end up getting a legendary, you could get a regular Pokemon, or you could get an Ultra Beast. So the white wormholes basically guarantee you a chance of an Ultra Beast, that they don't have anything else in them because they just lead you deeper into Ultra Space and take you to an area in which you kind of get to just capture an Ultra Beast. Now, you can catch infinite amounts of the Ultra Beasts that you find in the Ultra Wormholes, that the ones that are in the Ultra Wormholes are basically infinite, so you can just kind of spam catch them over and over again, but they do kind of have different rarities that as you go through the wormholes, the same rule kind of applies to the regular wormholes as it does to the white wormholes, that they all have that kind of ring mechanic for the rarity. So you see that we have in Ultra Deep Space, we got Nihilego, and it's fairly common. We got Buzzwole being common in Ultra Sun, and Pheromosa common in Ultra Moon. We have the Xurkitree being uncommon in the Ultra Plant for both games. We have Celesteela being uncommon in Ultra Moon. We have Kartana being uncommon in Ultra Sun, and then we have Guzzlord actually being rare in the Ultra Ruins. Now, Guzzlord is probably the highest rarity Ultra Beast to find now. I wouldn't say that you have a very high chance of catching him. It was thought a while ago that the 4-ringed Ultra Wormholes basically guaranteed you a chance of Guzzlord, but I found that to actually be not true, because when I went through a couple of the 4-ringed Ultra Wormholes, I actually ended up getting Celesteela and even Nihilegos, but never a Guzzlord. So Guzzlord is still very rare, so I think it's kind of just up to random number generation when you try and find it. But basically with the Ultra Beast, you kind of just spam through and just Shrek them over and over again until you get one that you want to keep, and you can just kind of hunt them down and just get as many as you want, because like I said, the Ultra Beasts are actually infinite if you're finding them in Ultra Space. However, the Ultra Beasts such as Stakataka, Blacephalon, Poipole, and Naganado actually aren't infinite. So you do kind of have a limited number of them you can get. So I would suggest planning before you go to get them. And then moving on, we're actually going to look at the Pokemon that we can find in the Blue Wormhole. So you see we have regular Pokemon, we have Quagsire, Lombre, Floatzel, Stunfisk, and Barbaracle. And then for the legendary Pokemon, we have Suicune, if you have Entei and Raikou. We've got Lugia and Latios in Ultra Moon. We've got Latios in Ultra Sun. We've got Kyogre in Ultra Moon. We get the 3 Lake Guardians, and then we have Kyurem. And Kyurem will actually take Reshiram and Zekrom. So, this Ultra Wormhole does kind of have some of the better legends, honestly. It's got Lugia, who is a massive tank. It's got Suicune, who's a really good setupper. It's got Kyogre, who can kind of work a multitude of ways. And it's got Kyurem, who, let's face it, when fused with Zekrom or Reshiram. And then looking at the green Ultra Wormhole, we see we have Nuzleaf, Grumpig, Drapion, and Audino, as well as Heliolisk for our regular Pokemon. And then with the legendaries, we have Mewtwo, Raikou in Ultra Sun, Entei in Ultra Moon, Dialga in Ultra Sun, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion, Reshiram in Ultra Sun, Zekrom in Ultra Moon, and Xerneas in Ultra Sun. And then we see that for the red Wormhole, we basically get a bunch of flying-type Pokemon that we get. For our standard, we have Swellow, Altaria, Yanmega, Sigilyph, and Swanna. And then for our legendaries, we have the 3 legendary birds, Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. We've got Ho-Oh in Ultra Sun. We've got Rayquaza, who actually requires Groudon and Kyogre. We've got Cresselia. We've got Tornadus in Ultra Sun. We've got Thundurus in Ultra Moon. I've actually seen like 5 Thunduruses. We got Landorus, who require Tornadus and Thundurus. And then we have Yveltal in Ultra Moon. And then the last Wormhole for the yellow coloration, we actually have for our standard, we have Macargo, we have Medicham, we have a Powdon, we have a Abomasnow, and we have Crustle, and we also have for our legendary Pokemon, the Reggie Trio, we've got Groudon in Ultra Sun, we've got Palkia in Ultra Moon, we got Heatran in Ultra Sun, and then we got Regigigas in Ultra Moon. Now, I don't know if you have to have all 3 of the Regis to actually get Regigigas. I think it might still run on that mechanic, but I'm not sure. I haven't really found any of the Regis yet, so I'm trying to actually look for them. And I might show me capturing them if I can end up finding one. Maybe not all at once, because I don't really plan on using any of the Regis that much. I might just capture them and just keep them as little trinkets. But Regigigas might run on that kind of mechanic still. It doesn't exactly say that it does, so it might actually not, but who knows. Now, when you're using the Ultra Wormholes, there is a sort of shiny mechanic, where a lot of people think that the Ultra Wormholes are good for shiny farming. Now, this is true for the legendary Pokemon, that if you find a legendary Pokemon in an Ultra Wormhole, you can actually save and soft reset to get a shiny, and you can kind of just keep doing that over and over, or you can soft reset, shut the power off to your DS, and shut it back on, and then you can actually get a shiny legendary if you can try that. So the shinies actually do work for the legendaries, but they don't work for the regular Pokemon. That when you're using the Ultra Wormholes, and you're going after a regular Pokemon, before you even find the Ultra Wormhole that you're going to go in, right when you're about to hop in with Solgaleo, it's going to be set from that point. That the wormhole that you go into from that point will either be a 0% chance or a 100% chance of being shiny. So if you try and soft reset to try and actually get something like a shiny Abomasnow, it's not going to work. That you have to have the 100% chance wormhole, or you won't get a shiny. So that's kind of the mechanic it runs on that. I know a lot of people are probably disappointed that they can't really shiny farm that easily, but I think it kind of balances out, because if the wormholes actually did have that kind of increased chance for a shiny, it would be a little too easy to get a lot of them. But it is actually a 0% chance or 100% chance, so it will all depend on your luck with random number generation. Now the rest of this video is basically just going to be a little bit of nitpicking, that there are a few things that I would recommend doing when you go to the Ultra Wormhole. So the first thing I would say probably do is save before you go into the Ultra Wormhole. That in case you find a shiny, I would save before you get into the Ultra Wormhole, and then if you don't find a shiny, you can just exit out and go back in and try and get a legendary instead of a shiny. But I would recommend saving before you get to the Ultra Wormhole, just in case you do find that rare shiny, because then you can just soft reset and you'll still have that 100% chance of that shiny being in that wormhole, because it will actually be the exact same wormhole. Now, I would again recommend using the circle pad as opposed to the motion controls, just because the circle pad works so much better. I would also say probably try and stockpile a lot of the orange orbs before you actually get too far in the Ultra Wormhole, that they're the most common at the front of the Ultra Wormhole, and as you go further in, they kind of decrease in rarity, and the blue ones kind of increase. So I would say kind of stockpile the orange orbs as you start off in the Ultra Wormhole. And for the legends, you can actually find them fairly easy. I know it's not that hard to find them, because I found a lot of them. I haven't caught all of them. I've caught about 5 or 6 of them, I think. But you can actually find a decent amount of the legendaries. And I would say that if you want a shiny or a specific nature, I would say grab something before you go in and kind of plan out on what wormhole you're going for. That if you're going for the red wormhole, I would plan out something for a Rayquaza as well as a Zapdos, that in case you find a Zapdos, you can set a bold nature synchronizer up front, or if you find a Rayquaza, you can set a jolly nature synchronizer up front, and then you can kind of get the nature you want for them. It will depend on how you really want to do it, however, so it depends on if you want to use Legends or not. I actually did make a team that can actually use Legends, and it actually did work out nicely. I wouldn't say it's top tier, because, let's face it, I honestly suck at Pokemon, but it is actually a very nice team, so I will be doing a new team building video, since I found a better way to actually make teams as opposed to my last one. But I will actually be making a new video on that. But this is going to be it for the Ultra Wormhole video. I've basically gone over all the information that's been confirmed, everything that I know. There's not really a lot more. I would recommend using Solgaleo instead of Lunala, however, when you actually go into the Ultra Wormholes, because Solgaleo actually takes up less space of the screen, and it makes it easier to actually see what you're running into. But the way to do that is you can just go into Ultra Megalopolis and basically change whatever Pokemon you're riding on. But again, that's kind of just my preference. I do honestly think a lot of people prefer to use Solgaleo, just because of the fact that it takes up less screen space, but once again, it's your preference. But anyway, I'm going to leave this video here. If you guys liked it, you can slap the like button as always. I'll leave links to my Ultra Legendary catchings down in the description, as well as probably a link to this website in case you guys want to actually check it out for yourself, and write down, like, lists and stuff of where all the legendaries are at specifically. I know some people actually do tend to write lists on the game when they're trying to go through. I know I've done that before, that when trying to find the Pokemon in the Pokedex, I will actually kind of write a list, and I would figure out where they were all at, and I would go and try and get them myself. And I will leave this link in the description so you guys can actually find it for yourselves. But anyway, I'm going to leave this video here. If you guys liked it, you can slap the like button as always, and I will see all you beautiful people in the next video.